United States President Donald Trump has made headlines with a statement that seems to escalate tensions surrounding the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. On his Truth Social platform this Friday, President Trump threatened Russia with a series of economic measures, including tariffs and banking sanctions in response to Russia's continued bombardment of Ukraine. However, in this statement, Trump refrained from directly condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which has been widely labeled as an illegal act of aggression under international law. Instead, he zeroed in on the latest wave of Russian attacks, which came just days after the US announced it would temporarily halt sharing military intelligence with Ukraine. Trump wrote, and I quote, "Based on the fact that Russia is absolutely pounding Ukraine on the battlefield, right now I'm strongly considering large-scale banking sanctions and tariffs on Russia until a ceasefire and final settlement agreement on peace is reached." He continued urging both sides to negotiate, saying to Russia and Ukraine, "Get to the table right now before it is too late. Thank you." This is not the first time Trump has made such remarks. Throughout the conflict, he has positioned himself as a potential peacemaker, claiming he could broker a deal between the warring nations. On Friday, in a news conference at the White House, Trump doubled down on his position. When asked about his views on negotiations, he described talks with Russia as easier than dealing with Ukraine, adding that he found it more difficult to negotiate with Ukraine because, in his words, they don't have the cards.
I think we're doing very well with Russia. But right now they're bombing the hell out of Ukraine, and I'm finding it more difficult, frankly, to deal with Ukraine. And they don't have the cards. They don't have the cards. As you know, we're meeting in Saudi Arabia on sometime next week, early. And we're talking, I find that in terms of getting a final settlement, it may be easier dealing with Russia, which is surprising because they have all the cards. I mean, they're bombing the hell out of them right now. And I put a statement in, a very strong statement. Can't do that. Can't do that.
Mr. President,
we're trying to help them, and Ukraine has to get on the ball and get a job done. Michael, could you come up here? I see Michael back there.
under President Trump's leadership. You put out
I think both parties want to settle. I think if I wasn't president, this war would have had no chance of settlement, zero chance. But I think we're going to get it settled and stopped. We got to stop. They're losing on average 2,000 soldiers a week. That's a lot of soldiers. Do you agree, Peter?
It's a lot of soldiers on both sides. I agree.
I actually think he's doing what anybody else would do. I think he wants to get it stopped and settled, and I think he's hitting them harder than he's been hitting them. And I think probably anybody in that position would be doing that right now. He wants to get it ended, and I think Ukraine wants to get it ended, but I don't see, it's crazy. They're taking tremendous punishment.
This is a meat grinder of people, of material, of national treasure, and no one else has any solutions except to let this war continue forever. But I'll add, the president has had multiple conversations and a visit from President Macron of France, Prime Minister Starmer of the United Kingdom. We have the NATO Secretary General coming next week. We have this meeting with the Ukrainians. We've had it with the Russians. All of this in the president's first month in his leadership. We will engage in the shuttle diplomacy, and we will continue to use his leadership and what leverage we have to get both sides of the peace table. It's not going to be easy, but President Trump...
This war should have never happened. It would have never happened if I were president, but it did happen. So a lot of other things shouldn't have happened too. We're pushing very hard. That's all I'm thinking about now. As far as the question about security later, that's the easy part. The hard part is getting it settled. We got to get them. We're losing 2,000 human beings every week. More than that, actually. 2,000 nice, young, although they're getting older because they're drafting much older now. In the case of one country, much older, because a lot of the young people have been killed. It's very sad, and I'd like to see if I could stop that. And I'd like to also see if we could stop making these massive payments from the United States. I mean, Biden gave away money like it was water, with no anything, got nothing for it. Europe did it in the form of a loan. They get their money back, we don't. So that's how we came up with the rare earth deal. But we started, behind the eight ball. He could have gone to Europe. He could have said, "Come on, you got to put up money with us. You got to put up money with us." But he never did that. They just kept handing money out because he was grossly incompetent.
This marks a significant shift in Trump's stance, as he has previously called for stronger support for Ukraine in its defense against the Russian invasion, which began in February 2022. Yet his recent remarks signal a more favorable tone towards Russia, even as Ukraine continues to resist the full-scale invasion.